Hello everyone, how are you? My name is Brandon. I decided to make a video. It's not something I was planning on doing, but after seeing the film last night, I decided that I should. Considering that this is a new film and I've never watched anything like this before, and I'm not a Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball fan of in any way other than just loose connections via Naruto, because I do like several different types of anime and Japanese animation, and Naruto, of course, is my favorite, but I've watched many others, some very, very old ones. My personal favorite of all time is Hades Project Zero Rhymer, and it's a short series, but it's like watching a series of movies, just amazing. I would love to make those into live action films one day, but right now I'm in Nagoya. I took a few days just to come over here and look at the Christmas lights, do a little shopping and rest. I'm a little sick right now, but I've been resting a lot. I want to show you my ticket, if you can see that. It's a little blurry, but anyway, I went to the cinema here called 109 Cinema in Nagoya. They have the really cool IMAX Laser screen. If you've never heard of that, I'd never heard of it because I have where I'm at, we have IMAX, but no IMAX Laser. But the images are much brighter, which I really like, because I always thought that IMAX itself, especially in 3D, was much too dark. And in some theaters that are not IMAX, 3D looks even darker. So that's one of the reasons why I prefer to watch IMAX in 3D rather than just a standard 3D theater. Of course, you have the bigger screen, and often the sound is much nicer, but the brightness of the screen is better. But since seeing the IMAX Laser, that's really awesome. But anyway, I'll just show you a couple of things they gave me at the movie theater. They gave me this little pack of has like maybe one card in it. Yeah, I guess it can be used for something, some kind of game or something. I don't plan on trying to use it or anything. I'm just going to keep it. There's something else in here. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I can read only a little Japanese. Maybe you can tell me in the comments. That would be cool if you can tell me what's inside here, because I don't necessarily want to open it. I don't think I'm going to get a lot of views on this video because I don't make videos very often. I focus more on other things. So I don't have a lot of subscribers, and I don't have a lot of views, but if for some reason I got a lot of views on this and a lot of shares, maybe I would just give these things away. And they also gave me this folder of the film. It has, you see the IMAX logo here. It's got the name of the film on the back, Dragon Ball Super Broly. Very interesting. Anyway, you can see it there. It opens. It's got a place inside where you can put papers or something, whatever. Anyway, I wanted to say that although I am a fan of some Japanese animation, like I mentioned before, and there are a lot of things that I like, going way back. I mean, me and a friend of mine named Jason, he and I used to go down to the local Blockbuster video and rent everything we could find. And that method was very interesting and cool, and it is nostalgic thinking about it. But sometimes we watch some really bad stuff, like really terrible garbage, and then sometimes we found some things that were really amazing, such as Ninja Scroll in the Berserk series that we watched, and of course Zero Rhymer, like I mentioned, and some others. But anyway, as far as Dragon Ball goes, my friend Jason was into Dragon Ball, and he really liked Dragon Ball. And by the way, no spoilers in this video, because I realize right now it's not even it hasn't even been released in the U.S. apart from the premiere. So I'm in Nagoya, Japan, like I mentioned, and so I was able to watch it. It just started a few days ago, so I was lucky to be able to be here and see it. Just happened to go to see that it was out, and I went to see it, even though I'm not a Dragon Ball fan. And that's what I was going to say. My friend Jason has always been a big fan of Dragon Ball, but I just could never get into it. I tried to watch it a couple of times many, years ago, and I just felt like it was, almost 30 minutes and a whole episode was almost 30 minutes of a couple of people just going, "Ah," just, screaming at each other, and nothing was really happening. I felt that's the way I felt. Okay, don't hate on me if you're a Dragon Ball fan. The whole point of me making this video is to let most people know who are not Dragon Ball fans that even if you're not a Dragon Ball fan, this film is something to see, especially in the theater. I think that it's going to lose something if you don't have a really big TV and great sound system at home. You're gonna miss something by watching it at home. But I would recommend watching it in a really nice theater. Now, I'm not saying that the movie's 3D because I mentioned 3D earlier, but this movie, when I saw it, was on IMAX in 2D, in a laser IMAX. So I believe that there is no 3D version. That's just my guess, because I think that if it were in 3D, it would be offered here at the IMAX Theater 3D, and it was not. So it is my assumption that it is not in 3D anywhere, but do not quote me on that. Anyway, this film was something else, and in order to keep from giving you any spoilers, I will say to those who are big fans, you have a great film to look forward to, and not because it has some amazing story. I mean, obviously it will. I've done a little research last night. I watched several videos, connecting everything in the film to some parts of the series and the different movies and things that they've come out with, and even in the comic. And so I've got a basic understanding of how and why they set everything up the way they did. And so if you're a fan of the series and you really, really like it and you want to see how things play out in the film, I think you won't be disappointed. That being said, I believe that the film itself, the actual story, it definitely is not complicated, not at all. And like I said before, my Japanese is just so-so. So I can't understand everything that's being said, especially when people are talking very fast and excited and that sort of thing. It's very difficult to understand. However, I didn't necessarily need to understand everything because it's very easy to see what was going on. I was able to pretty much understand the gist of it. I would say 95% of everything that was going on, because they did a good job of telling the story visually. And from the beginning to end, it was not hard to follow. There are some moments where I was a little confused, but it was mostly by the language, what was being said at the time, and not necessarily the main gist of the story itself. But I will say that I felt that in the beginning it was a little slow, but I realized that if you're a fan of Dragon Ball, then it's no problem for you. That's what I feel. But since I didn't have this deep connection with the characters like I would with Naruto, because when I watched the Naruto movie, I watched it on opening day in Tokyo and got some cool treats at that time. But I was so excited to see that film, even the beginning credits with the beautiful music and everything that was playing. I was very excited, and it didn't matter to me. I wanted the whole thing to go slowly and be told at a good pace without rushing into anything. So I'm sure that you'll go through the same thing if you're a Dragon Ball fan. But anyway, after the film really kind of gets going, this is the part that really gets me, and it's all because of this one element of the film that I'm going to tell you. If you've never watched any Dragon Ball, you can watch this movie and be amazed by it. And it's only because of this one particular. I don't want to call it one scene, but overall it kind of is one scene, but it happens over a long period of time, and it is very, very powerful, very amazing, and I've never seen anything like it ever in any film, animated or otherwise. Now there's just really just one. I mean, if you've seen fights, of course, and I know Dragon Ball is famous for these really powerful fights between people and things like that. And of course, this film is no exception. And just based on my limited understanding of Dragon Ball, the scale of fighting in this is amazing, and it was something to see in IMAX. I feel like my ears were hurting because the sound was so loud, and the visuals in combination with the sound was just something else. And that's why I'm telling you, you really should see the film in the theater if you want to get that experience, or as close to what I got as possible, because it was really something else. Anyway, like I said, I don't want to give away any spoilers for you and tell you what happened, but I will say the fighting itself, and I think this is perfectly safe to say, but the fighting just really blew me away, and was unlike anything I've ever seen. And I found myself thinking, man, what if there was a scene like this, a live action scene just like this, that looked and felt real? That would be something else. But even though it was animated, it was still amazing to watch. They put such effort into this fighting that's the whole reason I made this video. And just wanted to tell you that. Just wanted to share that. Just felt like sharing it. Didn't plan on doing this. This is my last day in Nagoya. This is I've been here a few times, but I'm about to leave tomorrow. Today I'm going to do a few more things. Go over to the castle and look around, and then do a little shopping, extra shopping, and then maybe check out some Christmas lights later tonight and before I leave tomorrow. But last night I thought, man, I should really make a video about this Dragon Ball movie. It really is something else. I really don't know what else to say. I would just highly recommend you go to see it. It's not, in my opinion, breaking any new ground in story. I realize that it is, touching on some elements that are presented or discussed or referenced in the series. And for those of you who are fans of the show, of course, that will appease you. Maybe you'll, based on what I read, some of those things are directly supported by the series or the comic, and others are slightly changed. So you may or may not be okay with that, but of course it sounds like par for the course. The good thing is that from my knowledge of Japanese series, they don't tend to kind of revamp and rewrite things too much like they do in America, which really drives me up the wall, because I don't want to see the retelling of a superhero's story in like 30 or 40 or 50 different ways just because there's a new writer or something, they want to redo it. That kind of stuff annoys me. But in a lot of Japanese writing and manga, they don't seem to do that so much. They tend to kind of follow the storyline a little better and stick to it, mostly. So I like that very much. Does that make me a traditionalist? I don't know. I have no idea. I just like the character that I fell in love with. But I think that this movie's got me a little more interested in Dragon Ball. I wouldn't say that it's still a huge interest for me, but it's definitely more interesting than it was before. And of course, I do like Kishimoto and Naruto and that whole world that he's created. And I know that he draws inspiration from Dragon Ball. So I would say that based on that alone, it's been a little interesting to me, of a little interest to me to go and check out. And this movie just makes me want to look a little more closely at it. And I want to share that with you. I think the video is long enough, too long maybe. But anyway, I hope you have a great one. And if you see the movie, or if you have seen the movie, let me know what you think about the fighting in particular, because without that, I wouldn't have liked this movie at all. I never thought I would say that about any film, but yeah, definitely, yeah. There's another Japanese film I was thinking about that lots and lots of fighting throughout, like more maybe half the film or so, and this reminds me of that, the fighting. It's just amazing. So that's all I can say for now. Enjoy the film if you haven't seen it yet, and if you have seen it, what do you think? Do you agree? Thumbs up, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.